I ghosted my cheating wife and she had a meltdown. Now everyone's blaming me. 7 months ago, I discovered my wife was having an affair with a middle-aged man. I moved out, cut contact, and filed for divorce. Just like that, 8 years of my life had been wasted and washed down the drain. At the time, I was 31 and I was 33, and her drill partner, as I'll call him, was almost 50. I discovered the affair by accident as a result of being in the right place at the right time. I was returning from a business trip a day early, and instead of calling my wife, I decided to drive home and surprise her. As I was driving, I noticed my tank was almost empty, so I decided to stop at the next exit to get gas for reference. This exit was approximately 12 miles from my house. I filled the tank and then started heading back down the road to get on the highway. Each intersection along the way had either a traffic light or a stop sign, so it took forever to get there. I arrived at one such a four-way stop and had several cars in front of me. As I sat there waiting my turn, I saw my wife's car emerge from a side street and then drive through the intersection in the direction I was going. I thought to myself, what the F is she doing over here? I had just spoken to her a couple of hours earlier, and she didn't mention anything about it. I called her cell and she let it ring 4 times before answering. When she did, she sounded out of breath and disheveled. She asked me what I was doing and she said she was just about to call me. I told her our meetings finish up early and I was on my way home. She sounded happy to hear this and asked when I'd be getting there, giving the impression she was home. I told her I should be there within 15 minutes. I then asked where she was going. As I could tell, she was driving. She hesitated a moment and then said she was just going to the store. I asked her which one, and she said, the one that's closest to our house. She was obviously lying as she was now on the highway just a few hundred yards in front of me. I knew at that very moment she was either cheating on me or doing something illegal. If not, why would she lie? I was going to call her out, but decided to play along to see what other lies I could catch her in. I told her I'd meet her at the store and then we could go out to dinner somewhere. I could tell she wasn't expecting me to say that, but she responded, saying that sounded great. I then told her I was just passing the rest area, which she just passed. I told her this as I knew it would scare the bejesus out of her when she realized I was right behind her somewhere. She told me she'd wait for me in the parking lot, and we ended the call no sooner than we did. She hit the gas and had to be going over 90. As she sped away, she obviously did this to avoid me seeing her and to ensure she'd arrive at the store before I did. She's probably thinking, man, I almost got caught. When I got there, she was already parked and walked over to my car. As I pulled in, she was adjusting her clothes and had her compact mirror out, checking her hair and makeup when we got in the store. She said she had to go to the restroom. I told her I did too, so we both went in to do our business. I finished up and came out a few minutes later and waited there for her to come out. She stayed in there for at least another 10 to 15 minutes before coming out. When she finally emerged, I told her I was about ready to send in a search party to look for her. She told me, sorry, I had to do a number 2. I know that's TMI, but I'm explaining this because it was another lie as I could hear the sink running the entire time she was in there. I don't think she even used the toilet, and instead spent the time cleaning herself up. Yeah, she was probably in there cleaning all that stink and cut off of her from that guy she was just with. We did our shopping and decided to grab some prepared food from the store instead of going out to dinner. When we got home and started eating, I asked her more questions about her day to see what she'd say. She told me nothing remarkable happened, explaining she just went to work and came straight home. With each new lie she told, I became more upset, but managed not to blow up on her. That night I tossed and turned, trying to process what she was doing over there. I was restless and wide awake while she slept soundly, like she didn't have a care in the world. It's amazing how she could do that. You would think that she would be a nervous wreck, but obviously not. The following evening, while she was preparing dinner, I checked her cell phone, but found nothing unusual. I also went online and checked our cell and credit bills, but again, found nothing. So he's hitting all kinds of dead ends here. Initially, this gave me a sense of relief, but I realized that didn't necessarily mean she wasn't cheating. It just meant she was good at hiding it. By that point, I was getting antsy, but I needed more proof, so I decided to continue investigating. Looking back now, this was definitely the right thing to do. However, it was difficult holding it together and acting normally. A week or so went by and everything was business as usual. Then one day she called and told me she'd be working a little late, as it was their monthly close. I didn't say anything, but I was immediately suspicious. Even though she had to work over on occasion, I sensed something was up. I had a strong feeling she wouldn't be working, but instead I'd find her visiting a certain someone on that street where I saw her the previous week. So that afternoon I went over there to see if I could spot her. I arrived around 430 and drove up and down the street a couple of times but didn't see anything. I decided to go back out to the main intersection and park at the McDonald's to see if I could spot her driving by. Sure enough, at about 4:45 p.m., she drove up to the intersection and turned down the same street. I gave it 10 minutes and then went down the street to see where she was. There. I saw her car parked in the driveway of one of the houses beside a new Ram pickup truck. I thought long and hard about going up and banging on the door, but my inner self told me not to, as I was on the verge of exploding at that moment. Instead, I took pictures of her car at the house and then went home. When I got there, I looked up the address to get the name of the homeowner. As it turned out, the owner was the co-owner of a company that did business with her company, so she's mixing it up with one of her customers. According to various websites, he was either 49 or 50 years old and had lived at that address since 2009. I later discovered he was divorced with 2 college-age children. When she arrived home that evening, she had bags of takeout from my favorite Chinese place in her hands. She greeted me with a big smile and came over for a kiss. I tried getting away with giving her an air kiss, but she insisted on a real one. Listen, guy, there's no way in hell I would have given her a kiss, after where she just came from. While we were eating, I told her I had to go out to a customer location the following day and wouldn't be home until the evening. After hearing this, she started asking me for particulars, like where I was going when I was leaving and when I'd be back. I knew she wanted this info so she could plan another meetup with her drill partner, and it really pissed me off. After I told her the details, she told me not to stop and get anything on my way home because she'd have dinner waiting for me. The thought of that nauseated me, but I knew that dinner wasn't going to happen as I had other plans in store for her. I, of course, had no customer visits planned that day, but I did plan to make a visit to her drill partner's house that day. If I saw her car parked there again, I planned to call and confront her, then move out and not tell her where I was going. Unfortunately, or fortunately, things played out as I predicted, and I found her car parked in the same spot as I had the previous day. So I went home, made a hotel reservation, packed my clothes, and then called her. To my surprise, she answered right away and was in an upbeat mood like she was so happy to hear from me. I asked what she was doing and she said she was just sitting in a conference room working on a spreadsheet. Yeah, you were spreading something, but you weren't working on a computer, let's put it that way. I told her she was lying. I continued on explaining. I knew exactly where she was, who she was with, and what she was doing. I said she was either effing him right now or had just finished effing him just like she did yesterday, and just like she did the prior week. While I spoke, she didn't say anything. I told her I was done with her and informed her I wouldn't be home when she got there. After that, I called her a few harsh words and ended the call. As you can see, this guy is pulling no punches. He's straight to the point and he knows what he has to do. A good 20 minutes passed before she started calling and texting me like a crazy person. You know why it took her 20 minutes? Because she turned around as soon as you hung up with her and told her affair partner, "Oh my God, my husband knows about us." And for the last 20 minutes, she's been cooking up something in her mind, some kind of excuse that she's going to give you, and now she's ready to talk to you. He goes on, he says, during the 24 hours that followed, she must have left me 50 voicemails and sent me over 100 text messages. You should have blocked her. The messages were all over the board first saying it wasn't what it looked like, and she could explain after several hours of these messages. She then transitioned to crying and telling me she was so sorry, followed by hours and hours of hysterical, crying, and begging for my forgiveness. Isn't this kind of what they always do in these cases when they're caught? After I got checked into the hotel that evening, I stopped to have a few drinks at the bar to take the edge off. I didn't have much on my stomach, so the alcohol really hit me. I then went up to my room to call our parents to inform them about what just happened. I was feeling a little loose at that point, so I didn't hold anything back and told them everything. They reacted with complete horror and couldn't believe she'd do something like that. Like me, they thought we had the perfect marriage, but that obviously wasn't the case. I ended up staying in hotels for the next few months as I worked through the divorce process. During that time, I avoided all contact with my wife and didn't tell anyone except for my parents where I was, as I didn't want to risk someone telling her. Everyone, with the exception of her closest friends, were on my side. However, just about everyone told me I should at least meet with her to give her a chance to explain and apologize to me in person. From the messages she'd been leaving me and from the reports I was getting from mutual friends, I knew she wasn't handling things well. This made her friends put more pressure on me, and even her older sister joined in to gang up on me. They went as far as telling me if something happens to her over this, it would be my fault. Once they pulled that, I politely told them to mind their own business and block their numbers. Even her parents turned on me, which came as a shock. I was really disappointed with them as we always had such a close relationship before this. Well, her parents in the end are going to be loyal to her. So you always have to remember that even if you have a great relationship with them, Most of the time, they're going to side with their daughter. Thankfully, my family and close friends were on my side and supported me throughout this whole ordeal. Long story short, I stayed no contact and had my attorney handle everything. My wife tried fighting the divorce and offered me just about anything. I wanted to stay married, but I was done. Once she realized that wasn't happening, she eventually signed the paperwork and things moved quickly after that. Our divorce became final last month. It was a clean break, and I'm now a free man. I don't want to give the false impression that I was a tough guy the entire time because I wasn't. 8 years is a long time to spend with someone. I spent many sleepless nights and had several breakdowns along the way, but I've worked past all that now. My wife still thinks there's a chance we'll get back together one day. She says we're meant to be together, and fate will reunite us just like it brought us together in the first place. I can tell you with 100% certainty that will never happen. She still texts me 3 to 4 times a week telling me what she's up to and saying how much she misses me and how sorry she is. I probably should have blocked her, but I kind of enjoyed hearing about her struggles and what a great man I am. As for her drill partner, I can't say too much there other than my attorney is working with his attorney on something right now. I'll just leave that there and let you fill in the blanks. Now listen to this. My ex told me he meant nothing to her and she cut all contact with him, but I really don't care anymore. So that's what happened to me and how I handled it. Not saying what I did was good or bad or right or wrong. I shared this or other men know they are not alone in this struggle. Many of us have gone through the same and have come out better on the other side, and that's the end of the story. Now, for the top comments. The first one is from a woman and she says, "You admit you're still reading her text, but refuse to meet with her. Why do this unless you're trying to destroy her mentally?" What she did was wrong, but she's human like we all are. She goes on. She says, "I had a boyfriend in college who I was in love with and planned to marry. He broke up with me over a date. I went on without telling him. He found out and never spoke to me again. I know what I did was wrong and I had no intentions of ending our relationship." She says, "I've never gotten over it, mostly because of the way he handled things." No, you never have gotten over it because you cheated on him and he isn't forgiving you. Next, here's a response from a guy. He says, "Always do what's best for you and stop listening to others." If you already made up your mind that there was no turning back, then why waste time meeting with her? I went through a divorce years ago, and it was a total cluster. If I could do it over, I'd handle things the way you did. Yeah, when you go through them, it really simplifies things. A law doesn't. And finally, we've gotten another response from a woman. She says you don't know her a damn thing. Closure is for the cheater while the betrayed gets nothing from it. I granted my cheating husband a final meeting. Looking back now, I wish I hadn't, as all it did was make him feel better and made me feel like shit, she says. Story 2. Wife asked me to open our marriage, so I made her regret everything 1 year later. Now she's begging me to close it back and live happily ever after with her, but I'm not interested. I married my wife 2 years after we both graduated from college. We were the typical cliched couple. She was popular amongst everyone. While I was kind of a loner with a small friend group, still, we got together. She had taken all of my firsts. I thought our life was perfect. I would go to work and come home to a lovely meal and happy wife. She would always ask me to buy her gifts like a purse or some jewelry, and I would happily buy it for her. I consider that to be how my wife and I express our love for each other. Our bedroom life was also great, and we both sleep satisfied. But nothing could have prepared me for the day. My wife revealed a horrifying secret to me. It was supposed to be a normal Monday, but I noticed that my wife was sort of ignoring me in the morning. I just thought she was sleepy and left for work. But when I returned home, she immediately told me to sit down because we needed to talk. She had gone on a work trip last week and done something horrible. My heart dropped to my stomach when she said that she had slept with another man. I asked her in a shaky voice, "Did you really cheat on me?" And she said this with a straight face. "No, I didn't cheat on you. It's different." Then she began explaining about how open relationships are really popular nowadays, and she wants to do a similar thing. I asked her why she wanted this was not enough for her, and she straight up told me no. She said she wanted the same freedom that she had in college. She assured me that she still loved me but will leave me if I don't agree to this. Apparently she had already slept with someone to try and push me to accept her offer because she could undo the past. The coworker that she slept with on the trip was going to be her side lover whether I wanted it or not. At that point in time, I was still madly in love with her, so I did everything to keep her close, including agreeing to an open relationship. Obviously, I set some rules. We can't bring our other partners in the house that I bought for the two of us, and we won't tell the other about who we're sleeping with. I also deleted the coworker's information that my wife gave me. I didn't want to drown myself in anxiety. The first month was the worst. I used to constantly think about where she is and who she's sleeping with. I even begged her not to go on a trip, but she said, "I'm just doing things as we agreed." Stopped crying and left. I was still hoping that she'd realize how much love I had for her. Give up this folly and come back to me. Oh, how naive I was at the end of the month. She was happier than she had ever been. That truly broke my heart as my wife was sleeping with other men while I was crying myself to sleep every night. My love for her vanished. Well, enough was enough. I thought that if she's happy, why should I be sad? That night, I went to a club for the first time in years. Fortunately, the first woman that I approached responded well, and we went back to her place. Unfortunately, it felt terrible for me. I still love my wife, somewhere in my heart. So sleeping with someone that wasn't her didn't feel good at all. I even threw up after I decided there. And then that I won't force myself to do anything I didn't like. So instead, I rekindled my old hobby of gaming. It was honestly amazing. I turned our basement into a man cave and would always game for an hour or so before sleep. I have made a Discord account and was making a lot of friends online. I met a wonderful woman named Cecilia online as well. She was really nice and I was able to open up to her. I confessed my feelings about the situation my wife had put us in. She had destroyed the love we built, and I couldn't do anything about it. Cecilia didn't judge me or my wife and just comforted me while we spent time together. We even met up in real life and hooked up. I was torn between Cecilia and my wife. I still loved my wife deep inside and was hoping she would leave her lover. But I no longer felt the nausea from sleeping with other women. Eventually, Cecilia managed to get me to move on. I no longer cared about my wife's day, no longer asked her to have dinner together, and no longer asked if she's all right. A burden had just been lifted off my chest. This continued for around 7 months, and it marked the 1-year mark of our open relationship. But my wife couldn't process that and would soon take back her own words. I had noticed that she was staring at me a lot recently, and also monitoring my actions for the past couple of weeks. I just thought it was because her lover had ditched her. But I was wrong. Once again, my wife asked us to talk. When I came back from work one day, this time, however, she looked horrible compared to how she looked before. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked thinner than before. I asked her in a blunt tone, "What do you want? I have things to do, so say it quickly." She flinched and started crying. She talked about how much she loved me, and that her love had only grown this past year. Meanwhile, she thought that I was drifting away from her, and had already left her in my mind. I simply told her, "Yes, you are right. I am finally happy that my life doesn't revolve around you anymore." That was apparently the wrong thing to say. She cried even harder and tried to hug me, but I moved out of the way. She said, "How could I do this to her?" I calmly reminded her that she was the one to start this, and I was just following in her footsteps. At that point, I was too tired to hear more of her gaslighting, so I just went downstairs and started gaming. I slept in the basement that night to give my wife some space. The next morning, I woke up to my wife cooking a lot of food for breakfast. She said it was all for me. That was weird because we were making our own food for the last year. Nevertheless, I ate it since she already made it, but asked her to not do it again. The next weekend, I was just relaxing in the living room when my wife walked in all dressed up. She said that we should go out together for an expensive dinner. I said, "I'm not interested in that. She can go with someone else." She began crying again, even though I wasn't being rude at all. She asked me if I didn't love her anymore, and I just accidentally blurted out, "Not really." Her face went red, and I thought she was going to get angry, but she just sat down and she told me that she wanted to close our relationship, that she's the one who first proposed, that she had the right to do so. She had noticed me talking to another woman a lot and was jealous of me giving her attention. She said she wanted us to do marriage counseling and work on our relationship. She tried to explain that she was unsatisfied with her lovers, but I thought back to her happy expression. After the first month, I finally realized what had happened. My wife wanted to make me jealous, but instead was now jealous of me having found happiness outside the sham of a marriage. Sleeping with other men didn't give her the validation she wanted. As a result, she was regretting opening our marriage. I calmly explained to her that what she had proposed was permanent and that we can't undo it. I told her I'm happy with Cecilia and that she should also find a new lover. And if she can't do that, then we should get a divorce. I'll happily give her half my money if she did so, but I won't be entering back into a relationship with her. Our marriage was lost the day she decided to sleep with another man. Story 3. My wife cheated on our anniversary. With her best friend's husband, hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be here, but I need to get this off my chest. This is a throwaway account for obvious reasons. Here's the story of how I discovered my wife was cheating on me, on our anniversary of all days. My 34M wife, 32F, and I have been married for 7 years. We have 2 beautiful kids, ages 5 and 3. For For the most part, our marriage has been great, or so I thought. Last month, we celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. I planned a romantic weekend getaway to a cabin in the mountains. It was supposed to be just the two of us. No kids, no distractions, just quality time together. In the weeks leading up to the trip, I noticed she was acting distant. She was always on her phone, giggling at messages, and being secretive about who she was talking to. When I asked her, she brushed it off, saying it was just her friends from work. Fast forward to our anniversary weekend. We got to the cabin and everything seemed perfect at first, but she was glued to her phone the entire time. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just having a hard time unplugging from work. On the second night, she fell asleep with her phone unlocked. I know it's a breach of privacy, but my gut was screaming at me that something was wrong. I picked up her phone and found a series of texts between her and a guy named Brian. The texts were explicit, leaving no doubt that they were having an affair. They even joked about meeting up while we were supposed to be on our anniversary trip. Here's where it gets worse. I recognized the phone number. Brian wasn't just some guy from work. He was my wife's best friend's husband. They had been coming over for BBQs, double dates, and our kids' birthday parties for years. I felt sick. I didn't confront her immediately because I didn't want to ruin the weekend. Instead, I quietly took screenshots of their conversations and sent them to myself. When we got back home, I confronted her. She broke down in tears, admitting everything. They had been sneaking around for months, using every excuse in the book to meet up. She said she was sorry and begged for forgiveness, but I was too hurt to think straight. To add salt to the wound, her best friend called me the next day. Apparently, she found out too, and wanted to make sure I knew what was going on. It turns out their affair had been going on right under our noses, even while we were all hanging out together as couples. I took some time to process everything and decided to take a break. I moved in with my brother for a while to clear my head. We've been going to marriage counseling since then, but I don't know if I can ever trust her again. Our kids are my top priority, and I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible for their sake. But inside, I'm a mess. I loved her more than anything, and this betrayal has shattered me. Has anyone here been through something similar? How did you cope? Is it possible to rebuild trust after something like this? Any advice would be appreciated. Small update. Hey everyone, as you all know, this just happened last month. Since then, I've been avoiding any conversation with her that isn't about the kids. She's been blowing up my phone, telling me how much she loves me and begging me to come back home. She says there's something important she needs to tell me face to face. Honestly, I'm not ready to stand in front of her yet. The pain is still too raw. We tried going to marriage counseling, but I discontinued it after just 2 sessions. It was too overwhelming for me. I visit my kids almost every day, and we spend time together, but I can't bring myself to go inside the house. Then yesterday, I got an unexpected text from her best friend. She said she needed to talk to me urgently about something I don't know yet. Now I'm torn. Should I hear her out or just walk away for good? I'm not sure what to think, and I'm honestly scared of what else I might uncover. Thank you to everyone who offered me advice. I appreciate it. I'll update you all soon.